certainly according to my children. So, all right. Step. Before you make fun of me, I needed to create a way to hold my harp because this had a little table. I bought this on eBay, and I think it was originally made to be used with a little table, but they didn't send that, so it's really hard to keep this like the way you're supposed to. So I took this off my drum, and I made my rock and roll harp.
Yes.
There you go. So it's not super pretty, but it sort of works. So, all right. So here's where I may need a hand, because I don't have fun going to be so good. Yes, thank you. So Ashley helped me put it on. I have to, you know, it took a village. I think it's on the desktop. So while she sets this up, I'm just going to tell you, so I always wanted to play the harp. No particular reason in the beginning, I just always loved it. And then over time, I did a lot of work, as mentioned before, because of hospice and with different things. And they have these fantastic healing programs where they bring in harps and they actually train you. And it's not as formal as, say, formal music therapy, but they do bring in, they teach you certain things. So that piqued my interest. And then I'll get into this in a minute, but as a Reiki person, as a Reiki master, you often use music to kind of set the tone and get people in the zone. And so I found myself drawn to harp music. Very simple, I just really like the harp music. Thank you. All right. So, would you go to the next? So, historically speaking, there's always been stories about harps, right? They go all the way back to recorded history. There is the story of David in the Bible. He's the only one that can relax the king. There are stories in Greco-Roman mythology. There's always been a harp. And why? Because it sounds like this. I don't get too excited. It sounds like this. Right? So everyone thinks of heaven or something very dramatic. That's the fanciest thing I'm going to do today. But it sounds lovely, and a harp actually is very forgiving if you can figure out where to put your fingers, which is what I'm learning. My problem is finding the notes, and I'm always doing this. So I've never played the harp before. So like a lot of you were saying, this was really kind of nerve-wracking to get up and do it. And it took me, like some of you, a while to kind of organize myself with a teacher, and I tried to learn online, and you have to hold your hands in a really awkward way, especially with my experience as a piano player. So I really struggled with that. So if you go to the next slide. So yeah, I found this on eBay. What's interesting about this, and I kept trying to, the reason that's there is I tried to put that in about 4 of my blog posts, and I couldn't get the picture ever load. So I put it here, so you can see it. So what was interesting is when I was waiting to meet with my teacher, Ruth, I thought, let me look stuff up about my harp. And it turns out that it was made by this gentleman, Raphael Weissman, back in 1992, who was a luthier, who actually was from South Africa, and ended up in England and trained, and then ended up in the United States. And he founded Harps of Lorien, which of course, if you like Tolkien, you know that's the land of the elves. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I looked him up, and sure enough, his name kept coming up as a sound healer. So it turns out when he was still building these from scratch, he actually put prayers and mantras and all different religious, he's a spiritual person, so he pulls from every background and every religion that there is, and in each section that he built, they actually prayed over it, or they chanted, which I thought was really cool given my interest in sound healing. When I bought it, I just thought it was a pretty good price for a decent harp. I had no idea of the background, so I thought that was a cool coincidence. Anyway, and just because I thought it was fun, there he is. And that's one of his fancy harps, obviously not mine. So what's interesting about, so a pedal harp is what everyone pictures. That's in the orchestra, and it's beautiful and giant and gold and has the big pedals. That's not this. This is a much simpler harp. Oftentimes they don't even have levers. So if you want them to do, it can be in whatever key you want, you just have to tune it. But I thought it'd be a little bit easier to have some levers. And this here, the sound box, I actually talk about a lot because this is what sits against your body when you play. And if we had more time, I was actually gonna have everyone like take it because no matter what you play, the vibrations you feel in your body, which is really pretty amazing. It actually feels like it's almost in your heart, like when you play the drum or something loud. And what I'll talk about in a little while is how they think that affects your body's ability to heal itself, which is really pretty cool. And until I kind of held it here, and because I couldn't hold it in my lap, I was doing this, I was on the floor, I was everywhere trying to hold it steady. And I finally just thought, let me try it this way. And it goes right into your heart, almost like right into your chest. So this sound box though is also what makes it loud, like what makes you be able to hear it better. These are just the tuning pins, otherwise it's pretty simple. That's the weirdness of your fingers. So they don't use your pinkies, even in folk, and your thumb stays vertical, or that's good, right? So, and then these fingers though have to stay close and at an angle, and every time you're done, you're supposed to pluck them and then pull your hand off and close your fingers, which is good if you're experienced, but if you're me and you do that, then it takes you a minute to go, wait, see, I have to put my hands back. But you're supposed to do it almost like turning a doorknob. And you're supposed to play on this part of your finger, so it's tempting to play like this, which you do for certain things, but for most things, they want you on the side of your fingertips, and they want your thumb straight up, which is awkward. In folk, they don't really do make you stick your pinkies way out, they just tell you to keep them out of your way. Thank you for doing this. So here we are to my teacher, who Marcia introduced me to. She is incredibly unique, in my opinion. Although she is a classically trained musician and is incredibly talented, I'm going to play this for you. So all of this is improvised. As Pratik said, and many of you said, she never does the same thing twice. So when I said to her, I need something for class, she went, well, you don't like improvising, right? And I said, no, I hate it. She goes, then we're going to improvise. So that was right, that gave me a little angst. And I was like, all right, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. So even when she worked with this group called Anonymous 4, they didn't improvise, obviously, because they were performing everywhere. And their harmonies, if you have time, go listen to them. She's amazing. Yeah, she opens her mouth and you go, and they would take things that they had the music for and learn it that way. Sometimes they would take things they just had the words for and create the music, but that wasn't improvised. All of her sound stuff, for the most part, is consistently improvised, which is wild because it never sounds improvised and it always sounds like she's done it a million times. And so her thing was, you learn fifths because she just thought they sounded great. So my right hand is not so good, my left hand is definitely not so great. So same thing, you have to hold your thumb up and then play on the inside. So you hear the difference. If I do it right, it's much louder than if I do it wrong. And depending on where you play it, it's much louder. I'm just not really very good at the multiple fingers. So she starts a lot of her work just with fifths. And you can see how if you were trying to get someone in that healing mode, how that would really work, which I thought was amazing. She also is a firm believer in humming, as opposed to trying to do much, because it's good for your voice, it's good to kind of be meditative. Okay, so she hums with a lot of this stuff, which I think is amazing. So since I talk too much, I'm going to do this first. So this is my sort of improv, because I practiced it first, but I did do it myself. I did do it myself, but it's my, that's right, what did you call it? You call it something. So I took her advice, and I started here with the fifths. So the sound healing behind this, something I talked about a lot, is this practice of Reiki. And I can't emphasize enough that the fact that we had that shorthand where she didn't have to explain a lot of what she did to me, I just sort of knew it, was almost like working with an instrument that you already knew. You know, you knew the scales, you knew whatever. And her ability, she did a sound journey for me, a short one, so I could talk about it. I know I'm out of time. But she used every instrument, I think, that she had. She used her voice, she used the piano, she used the flute, she used the harp, she used an Indian flute. It was unbelievable and unlike really almost anything I've ever done. And then she was off to a silent retreat and then going back to Paris to sing at Chartres. So I feel like this is a lifelong thing with me now. I feel like it's an amazing connection, and I'm gonna go learn with someone who can teach me fingering. And then I'm gonna go back and do more sound with her. So thank you very much.